Okay, let's start for number 10. So this is more related to your commitment to this position, and since you want to become a board of education and member, and then we want to know a little bit more about how you participate and how you did in the past. So of course your teacher's background is very, very precious to this position, I think, and also as a parent. And we'd like to know, have you got a chance to visit schools and talk to teachers, and how have you done with that? And do you know the major concerns from teachers?
Well, I naively thought when I decided to do this that I would be able to go into schools and sit down during lunch and talk to teachers about this sort of thing. And I was told, you can't do that. That would be like campaigning.
Oh.
So it has been, unfortunately, much more difficult than I would have hoped initially. But I have substituted. I now am a substitute teacher, so I've subbed at Wild Lake High School, Wild Lake Middle School, Elkridge Landing Middle, Clarksville Middle, Elkin Mills Middle, Folly Quarter Middle, Stevens Forest Elementary, Dayton Oaks Elementary, Swansfield Elementary. Only like one or two times at each of those schools, but been able to talk some to teachers there.
Right.
I have spoken with teachers from Hammond Middle, Hammond Elementary, River Hill High, Centennial, Lane Elementary, Northfield Elementary, Laurel Woods Elementary, Running Brook Elementary, Atherton Elementary, Deep Run Elementary, Fulton Elementary, Pointers Run Elementary, Waverly Elementary, Burley Manor Middle, Lake Elkhorn Middle, Oakland Mills, Middle, Glenelg High, Hammond High, Marys Ridge High, and others, just because I know people, either other band directors or other teachers or administrators. So you have
friends there.
Right, exactly. So we just kind of talk shop, sometimes in terms of educational issues.
Right.
And sometimes I've met with many parents at schools when I've gone to watch a concert or, for one reason or another, been there, and at forums, band performances, political gatherings through Facebook. There's been a whole lot of stuff going on Facebook. Even though I haven't been able to do everything I've wanted to, I think I've got my thumb pretty well on the pulse of the issues. That said, if I do get on the board, I would like to be able to sit down and speak with, for example, 11th grade world language teachers, 2nd grade, reading teachers, 5th grade math teachers, et cetera, and see more what their particular concerns are. So I've been able to do some of it on the periphery, but I'd like to be able to do a lot more. In terms of their main concerns, and I'll kind of go through this list and let me know if you want me to expound on any of them. But not in any particular order, although maybe a little bit. There's some at the beginning. Lack of honesty, spin, lack of responsiveness from the board as a concern. Mold in healthy buildings is a concern. The elementary school model is a concern, including the world language aspect. The budget is a concern. The excessive testing and skewing of subject matter in order to accommodate an over concern with testing is a concern. The amount of time being spent by teachers and administrators on the evaluation system, both the 3-year full evaluations, as well as the student learning objective yearly evaluations, and the way that is done, and also the lack of validity is a concern. time for student assistance and preparation for classes by teachers is a concern because they're having to do a lot of things that are tangential to or even not very tangential to what the most important things in the classroom should be. Paperwork, suspensions, and suspensions just in terms of not being a particularly good way of fixing problems, and also in terms of there being applied more to certain groups than other groups, particularly African Americans at this point. And then they're kept out of school, and then they come back and they're more lost. And
Right.
can we find a better way
Right.
to deal with this?
That's true.
And restorative justice being one, one good worthwhile possibility, but also, I can see, more use of in-school suspensions, and with severe situations, even some type of program set up at Homewood for students that really cannot be let back into their schools for some time, but so that they can continue with their education. Institutional racism being a concern. Diversity, appreciation, and accommodation being a concern. Bullying, equity between schools, boundary lines and the way they are drawn. Overcrowding, especially in the eastern part of the county. Special education, but scattered in different places. Special education, many aspects, staffing, training, paperwork, accommodations that are targeted by classes instead of overly general in their IEPs is a concern. Legal counsel not being in-house and some of the complications, not only cost, but also a lot of people feel that decisions are not necessarily being made for in the best interest of the students, like it may be more the case if counsel was working for the school system. At least that being more of a priority as opposed to just money. School start times, pre-K, class sizes, which are now going up this year because of the decision that was made as to how to handle the budget situation. Dress codes, technology, both instructional technology and operational technology. In other words, technologies that students use and how best to maximize the benefits to come from technology, and how to handle the student devices, all that type of thing, and then the operational technologies such as Canvas and issues with the way that was brought out, and how we can best communicate with parents using technology. So that's what I'm calling operational technology. And also support for academic intramurals and extracurricular programs. So for example, shouldn't coaches of robotics programs get compensated in a similar manner as coaches of sports programs? Those types of things. So these are, there are many other concerns, but those are the ones that kind of came to mind as I was
You seems has a very comprehensive list of all the concerns.
Well,
how long take you to get all of this together?
Not as long as you might think.
Yeah, probably because you're familiar with most of the situations.
Yeah. I mean, these are things that are often discussed
in the school.
Concerns in schools, on Facebook, on just in conversations. So it didn't take as long as you might think. Kind of unfortunately, it'd be wonderful if there was a situation that, gee, I can't think of any concerns.
That's true.
But unfortunately, there are a fair number.
Because of this long list, do you have any priorities? If you are on board, what are you going to do with this? Do you think you can solve some of them? Oh, I'm sure not all of them, right?
Well, I don't want to make any promises I can't keep.
Sure.
And as a board member, I would be one of 7. So the only way I could get things done, or if I can convince at least 3 other board members to join me.
Right.
Okay? And then we would need to direct the superintendent to carry these ideas out.
Yeah.
But to prioritize, I mean, I think they're all important, and I think they're important to different people. So what may be the highest priority to some people may be pretty low with other people. I think one thing that will help a tremendous amount is, I keep going back to the absolute, desire for honesty and transparency. I think the goodwill that has generally existed for decades between the community and the school system has been put somewhat in jeopardy these last few years, and I think that's just crucial to have, so that we are working together. And I realize you can't always make everybody happy, but there are what I believe to be legitimate concerns and here, and the propagandizing and the lack of straightforward honesty. And I think as a school system that integrity need to be at the center. I think healthy buildings are a given. I mean, we have to make sure our students are in healthy buildings. Now, some students have allergies to certain things that, I had some allergies as a student and had shots, and one of them was floor wax. Well, if that was an allergy for me, for example, then I didn't think twice about it as a kid that there were any options, but maybe if that was a severe allergy for a student, maybe we need to look at, okay, is there another school that has carpet? Or if it has been determined, for example, that the mold situation is at an appropriate level, and we have a student that is hypersensitive, then maybe if there's not anything they can do about it in a certain building, and it's healthy for 99.9% of the students, then maybe we need to look at sending that student to a newer building or something. That I think we need to look at an individual situation, but we have to make sure that our teachers and students are in healthy buildings. The budget, so much comes down to the budget. So we have to make sure that we are communicating better, with the county, and I think there are things that we can do to spend more efficiently. Now, I need to be able to sit down with school system accountants to know if this can be done, but we have, as a teacher, I had materials and instruction money. Right. If I didn't spend it by the end of the year, and unfortunately it was sometimes long before the end of the year, it would disappear. It would go away. Right. Now, there might be some years that I need it more than other years.
That's true.
Maybe one year I don't need it all, but maybe the next year
So need to have some policy to make a teacher can spend money more efficiently, but not afraid of be taken away.
Exactly. Get what you need, okay? And get quality. Spend as little as you can to get the quality that is needed. Right. And then, but don't spend it or you'll lose it, because you'll be afraid that you won't have it next year.
That's true.
If you
it's get to be. Spend unreasonably.
My guess is if teachers didn't feel that pressure, and we said the only pressure they felt was spending responsibly. Yeah. So if somebody came and said, okay, why are you spending this, that they would be able to give you good reasons. My guess is there would be a pretty big drop in expenditures, because, and this would vary. Some teachers might need to spend more. Yeah. Okay? But it would be very interesting to see if they didn't feel this pressure
to spend.
If they always felt like, okay, if they need something, we'll get the money for them.
They will get the money for that, right.
Then my guess is we would save money. Now, this would have to be tried.
Yeah.
I'm not
Sure.
positive about this. But there are things I think if we really look at that we can do better budget-wise, but I really think that we need to work better with the county council and executive. In terms of instruction, the testing, if we could get, I think we need to focus on the classroom, the intersection between teachers and students. Hey, I don't think we need to test, and I know some of it's federally mandated, but not all of it. And until that goes down, I don't think we need to spend 3 days of instruction with map testing every year with everything else. I don't think most teachers find it worthwhile. I could see making it optional for teachers that really feel it is, it is needed. I question the value of the Gallup Strengths Initiative. I think it's kind of, in some ways, maybe nice a little bit. I think it's overdone, and I don't think it needs to be anywhere near as extensive as it is. And there's a certain artificiality to it as far as I'm concerned. So I mean, there are things we can do to just get that stuff off the plate. Focus on teacher and student intersection in the classroom. There's a lot of paperwork that sometimes as a teacher I felt like I was existing primarily to make things easier for people at the central office. And if the philosophy was, central office people, we need to do things to make it
teacher.
Exactly. So that the teachers would be
Easier.
able to do it with less time.
Yes.
So they can spend more time with their students. And again, I just feel that one-on-one assistance with students that are struggling is, is really important.
Yeah.
So, they're all, equity in schools. And I don't think the county has done a real bad job with that, but I think we need to do better in terms of providing equity. I don't know, these are all, the concerns that I have heard from people with special education are, some of them are really, really sad. And I think we need to do better accommodating every student and every family. And I think starting out with a viewpoint of let's consider what the parent suggests. Let's at least try it. Okay, if we feel that no, you should do this, and they feel you should do this, then okay, let's say let's try that. But if this doesn't work, then let's try this. And until we see something that works. And I sometimes I'm not sure that we always remember that it's the parents who are living with the students, and they may know things about the student that we just don't, we just don't.
Right.
Right. I could talk about all
I
these things.
understand. You have a lot of good ideas, I think. And one thing I really, as a Asian parents, I'm really concerned is the cultural stereotype to the Asian students, in school. And that's maybe not because of teacher, but more it's on peer pressures, and they have, Asian kids are certain type of, maybe they are just the nuts, they are just nerds, and they are not really good at sports, and they are not really good at self-expression. There's a lot of, I think, kind of stereotype to the Asian students. Do you have any suggestions or anything? How can we change that, and how you can help Asian students to gain more confidence and to be more savvy in terms of living in the American culture? And I think as a teacher, maybe you can help on certain ways.
Well, I'll tell you, I look a little in the other direction. I look a little more like maybe we need to help more people appreciate the Asian culture and move more into that direction.
Okay. Well, no, I didn't mean change that. I mean, maybe to help students to realize a lot of good culture strengths, not a weakness, in terms of that.
I mean, Absolutely, and
Yeah.
That's somewhat. Some of this I think we can do in the schools. Some of it I think is a societal.
It's that most, I think, is societal. I agree.
You know, we need to now. I mean, as a band director,
Yes.
I look at the all-state and the all-county bands, and huge percentages
Probably
are made up
more
of
than 50% are Asian Americans.
Right, and I know in my day, they are some of just the hardest working,
Yeah.
Just
They are.
really on the ball students. And even before it dawned on me that this was the case, I could tell you a story or two. But anyway, so making a long story short, I think it's something that needs to be, pointed out in a respectful way, but you can't do it in a way that singles out. You can't say you should be more like this.
That's why I'm asking help from the professional teachers. They probably know the best way to handle this.
I don't know if there is a best way. I think it's very situational. Depends on the individual. I think it's the individual. So for example, if someone's making a stereotype, first of all, that's a problem. So we want to work with that student to see that in any culture there is a wide range of people. So you shouldn't stereotype individuals. And stereotyping cultures is also not very productive. So I think some education needs to go along those lines. But I don't know if it can. I mean, I think just an overall understanding and appreciation from the standpoint of teachers and staff will help, but again, I think it needs to be done more at an individual, teachable moment kind of thing. Also, may be able to be done in some ways through literature, through appreciation of culture. I did not get a lot of and some of this was because when I went to high school, we only had 6 periods in the day, and being in the band, I didn't get a world history course.
So missing that.
So I missed some of that
world history.
And I get the feeling that we can do a better job with teaching history that's not only Western history now. So although I think I may be worse off than some students now with it, I think we can do better along those lines. And I think as people get more familiar with different cultures, and this is where some of the cultural appreciation comes in, then some of the stereotyping will be reduced. So I think it's kind of a multifaceted approach that we need to take. I'm sorry I don't have a simple answer to your
That's
question.
okay. Well, I think you did answer some of, you did offer some, I think, good suggestions here. And the last one, I think, is a more light question. It's regarding the food. So since there is a lot of Asian population in Harford County, so in the public schools, do we have any chance to maybe offer maybe a little bit more variety of the choice for lunch and for school meal? Do you think?
Yes. Now, I think if I understand correctly, there's been some movement made in this direction. But I think there's been talk about having meal options or days that ethnic foods are served. So there might be a day with more Chinese food, or more Japanese food, or more Mexican food, or more Irish food, or things, so that students can have more of these. There's a certain educational aspect, to this
Right.
also, and I like that idea. I do support that both from the perspective of having students eating food that they identify with themselves, as well as the perspective of having students experience food from other cultures. So everybody gets to eat some of what they like and are used to, but everyone also gets to try different things and see what they like. To me, that's a win-win.
Great. Okay, well, before we end of this conversation, I wonder, do you have some word to our parents? You can have a couple minutes if you would like.
Well, I appreciate that. Before I do, if I may, are there any things that, if I do get on the board, and of course I want this to be ongoing communication, but are there some things that either I have said that you would want to comment further on, or just that you would want me to be aware of to educate myself more about, so that I could do a better job both over these next couple months in running for the board, as well as if I was to get on the board.
Okay. Well, I can.
I know I didn't prepare you for that.
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, that's very good intention. However, I don't have anything with me right now in terms of answers. But I will bring this question back and ask them, all the parents, and see if there anything we can provide to you regarding, our wishes, our hope, and our whatever, and maybe give you another opportunity to talk to our parents in the future, if possible, or trying to do that.
That would be wonderful. I appreciate that. Thank you. And I guess the only thing I've talked a lot today. Sorry to those of you that are listening to this, if anyone is. But I want to thank you very much for the opportunity to be able to have this conversation. And and I appreciate the community's efforts in putting together the questions. That helps me to be more aware of the concerns of the Asian American community also. And I guess just in general, I appreciate everyone's consideration. I would like to be one of the top 3 that are chosen and able to try to work to make the school system even better than it is. But ultimately, I hope that through this process, the community will be able to have the information to be able to pick who the best 3 people really will be. During this time, I hope people will be in touch with me with any questions or concerns they may have, and any suggestions that they may have. I have certainly learned a lot through this procedure. It has been fascinating, and again, I really appreciate the support that the Kappa gave me before the primaries in terms of endorsing me. That was a wonderful thing as far as I'm concerned. I really appreciated that, and I hope that our communication will continue, and that as the years go by, I will be able to do some things that will help improve the school system for everyone, Asian Americans as well as everyone else in the school system, and I hope that we'll have a good, open, honest communication and make a good school system even better.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thanks for taking your time.
By the way, what's your specialty in terms of music?
My major instrument is percussion.
Oh, okay. That's good.
So, yes,
We can turn off this. Okay.
I have enjoyed it very much.
Very good. Okay. I thought